Hey guys, today is March 23rd, 2016. We're going to read the rest of Luke chapter 6. It begins with love your enemies. But I say to you, this is when Jesus is speaking. Okay, but I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who spitefully use you. To him who strikes on the one cheek, offer the other also. And for him who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who asks you, and from him who takes away from your goods, do not ask them back. And just as you want men to do to you, you also do to them likewise. But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those for whom you hope to receive back, what credit is that to you? For even the sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. But love your enemies, do good, and lend, hoping for nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and even you are sons of the Most High, for he is kind and unthankful and evil. Therefore be merciful, just as your Father is also is merciful. Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be put into your bosom. For the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. And he spoke parable to them. Can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into a ditch? A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone who is perfectly trained will be like his teacher. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me remove the speck that is in your eye, when you yourself do not see the plank that is in your own eye? Hypocrite! Explanation point. For remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck that is in your brother's eye. For a good tree does not bear fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from bramble bush. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and evil man out of evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart is the mouth speaks. But why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do the things which I say? Whoever comes to me and hears my sayings and does them, I will show you whom he is like. He is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat fervently against the house and could not shake it, for it is founded on the rock. But he who ever heard and did nothing is like a man who built a house on earth without a foundation. Against the stream beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of the house was great. All right, that concludes Luke chapter 6. Tomorrow we will read Jesus heals the centurion's servant. Jesus reads the son of the widow in the Nain. John the Baptist and the messengers to Jesus. A sinful woman forgiven. Okay. That is part of Luke chapter 6. So here we are in what we see as trouble. There's actually more to the Serenity Prayer than usually recited in recovery meetings. One powerful line says that serenity comes from accepting hardships as a pathway to peace. Another way you could put this, that is, what we see as trouble, God sees as opportunity. If you believe in God, perhaps you also believe that He created everything you see. Then you perhaps will consider that God is in the business of seeing all, and He's created both the good and the bad as the opportunities to accomplish His purpose in history. And that includes your troubles. So rather than simply mourning what's wrong with the world, you can allow God to turn your troubles into opportunities to make things right. If you do, your troubles will no longer be something to hide from. They'll become opportunities to see as God sees. God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. The paralysis of the soul. Famous for the role in Superman, Christopher Reeve was a towering picture of strength. Sadly, he suffered a critical injury in 1995, paralyzing him from the neck down. The Man of Steel then became famous for advocating for his research to find a cure for paralysis. One of the chief dangers with paralysis is that you're not unable to feel any pain. If you suffered a cut in your leg and you were all alone, you would be unaware of the wound. Unable to feel, you could die from bleeding or infection without ever knowing why. When you suffer significant injuries to your soul, this can leave you paralyzed to feeling emotional pain. But no matter how deep it is, pain still has a purpose. It alerts you to the need for attention and healing. It reminds you that something needs to be made right. You may not feel your wounds, but they can still kill you. Fortunately, unlike Reeve's condition, the paralysis of the soul has a cure. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Romans 8:18. They just foreclosed your house. Where will you live? Your 401k just took a nosedive. How will you retire? Your spouse just told you that she's leaving you. How can you possibly go on? All of us will experience loss. Sometimes the loss is legitimate, as will be the pain that follows. Sometimes the loss is a wake-up call that you were clinging too tightly, so tightly it doesn't matter. But no matter what we lose, with the pain of the loss comes opportunity. The opportunity in loss is your choice become simpler, your focus more singular. When everything is stripped from you, you can choose to despair. You can choose to finally surrender to the only one who can make things right. What you're really surrendering to is a definition of what matters. You'll live on more than God, but God is all you need. Suffering loss is often the best gateway to that epiphany. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit their very self? Luke 9:25. All right, thanks for listening and be blessed.